Welcome to episode 59 of the Practice Squad, a show where we talk about football, shoot the breeze, and make even the replacement refs cringe. I'm your host and fourth string quarterback, Jeremy, joined each and every week by my co-host and backup long snapper, Joseph. How's it going, man?
You know what? Let's try to survive talking about the Bengals game. Then we'll see how I'm doing. I can't imagine how people watching the game survive that.
Oh, I can't either. That was heart attacks galore. But we'll get into that. We'll get into the weeds of that game in just a moment. Um, so we are live right here on YouTube every Tuesday. We try to be live at 8:30 tonight, 8:40, but we try. We're grown men with kids. No, one of us has a kid, and we have things and stuff to do. So we try to be on as early as we can, but sometimes it slips a little bit. So if you like what you hear and want to support us, don't hesitate to like, share, and if you're feeling extra generous, subscribe. But of course, you can like, share, and subscribe even if you think you could run this show better than us. So this week we've got our usual gambit of segments, including our exciting game of the week, Who Wrecked Face this week, Darndest Things. We're going to do an injury report this week since there were lots of pretty significant injuries. None of which were the 49ers, actually, so that's kind of weird. Tricky picks, and of course, we're going to round out our show with our predictions. So let's go ahead and get started with segment one. Game of the week was supposed to be Bills at Chiefs, but for some reason, the Chiefs just don't want to win games this season yet. So we decided not to do that one because it was a little bit of a beating by the Bills. So instead, we decided to pick easily the most heart attack game of the week and probably the most exciting at the end. Packers at Bengals. This was a 25-22 Packers win in overtime. But let's just say it right now, Joseph. This game should not have been an overtime game.
Yes.
And not only that, but it shouldn't have lasted until, what was it, 2 minutes into overtime, or two minutes at the end of overtime. Yeah, 2 minutes remaining at the end of overtime. So if you did not watch this game, that's okay. You don't have to leave it to your imagination. We'll describe for you how crazy this was. So we'll start off with the. I actually watched this game on my phone on YouTube. I watched the highlights on YouTube on my phone. So I tried to get a good look at some of the plays that were a bit close, but I think generally speaking, there weren't a whole lot of inch type plays. It was mostly just big plays and exciting stuff. So in the first quarter,
hold on. There was. Oh, sorry. Later there was.
Yeah, there was one. I know which one you're talking about, and it was a catch. Yeah.
Get to later.
Spoilers. It was a catch. So, so the first quarter wasn't super exciting. On the second Packers drive, Rodgers gets picked off, and I thought this was one of the greatest interceptions I've seen. It was like he was running with the receiver, but then he was slightly ahead, and the ball was a little overthrown. And it was a little on the inside, and the defender, his name was Chidobe Awuzie, great name. He caught the ball going the other direction, and then turned around and ran towards the Packers end zone. Just a great catch, all around great defense, great catch. And then Rodgers was not picked off again in this game. So he got that out of his system on their second drive. Then on the Bengals, I think this was the Bengals' second drive, maybe their third, I don't know. The highlights will skip drives that are insignificant, so it may have been their third. The Bengals string together some first downs, their first downs of the quarter, and score a touchdown pass to Samaje Perine. So the Bengals go up 7-0 to enter the second quarter. And I just noticed Rodgers, man, that guy does not like the pocket. He will back up 20 yards if he needs to make a pass. He'll just roll out if he needs to. He's very flexible. He completes a pass to A.J. Dillon, which I think was... I'm going to pull up the... I don't have the ESPN
AZ1 downfield
box score. So I think there was a... Was it that one or... There was a different one that was later, I think.
The one I'm thinking of is later to Adams, I think.
Yeah, it was a 59-yard pass to Adams in the fourth quarter. But he completes a pass to A.J. Dillon, which gets them in field goal range. It keeps them on the drive. I think, was it... The touchdown pass wasn't to A.J. Dillon, but he completed a big pass to Dillon, which set up the touchdown. They got the touchdown. I don't remember who it was to. Let's see. Sorry, I was multitasking. I was explaining that and also pulling up the box score at the same time. So A.J. Dillon did have a touchdown catch, so maybe that was him. But then Crosby doinks the extra point.
Yep.
So it's still 7-6 Bengals. And then I thought Rodgers kind of missed a pass to the end zone on their next drive, and it forces them to kick a field goal, so the Packers go up 9-7. Then Rodgers throws a touchdown pass to Adams, 16-7 Packers. And then when you think, oh no, the Packers are just going to run away with this one, Burrow throws a 70-yard touchdown pass to Jamar Chase, who caught the ball. I was really surprised that ball wasn't swatted away or even intercepted. But he caught the ball, perfect catch, perfect throw, and the Bengals bring it within 2 points, 16-14, and that's how they close out the half. So at the halfway point, were there any first half things that you wanted to bring up?
Not that I recall, no.
Okay. So start the third quarter. On the very first drive, Bengals get the ball to start the second half, and Adrian Amos picks off Joe Burrow. And as the Packers were driving the ball down after that interception, one of the greatest open field tackles I've ever seen forces a field goal kick from the Packers. So at this point, Crosby still got it. He's got a little shaken by the XP doink, but he's doing okay. He kicks this field goal. He makes it in between the uprights, which is where you're supposed to kick the ball. 19-14 Packers. Then okay. The Jamar Chase catch, where it bobbled up, and
yes.
Then he caught it and was down, but the whistle wasn't blown. So
yes.
Yeah. So what happened was Burrow threw Jamar Chase the ball. He didn't catch it. It actually bounced off of his hands into the air, bounced down or fell down into Chase's hands. Chase caught it, hit the ground, and then there was no whistle blown. There was a defender nearby, but in the bang bang, live, you couldn't really tell whether he had been touched. He gets up, runs all the way to the end zone, no whistle, and then the refs rule that he was down by contact, and they show a replay where he was just barely touched before he got up to run to the end zone. So it did come back, but that was a crazy play. And then, let's see. That's pretty much it. There was no other scoring in the third quarter. Or any big plays, I don't think. So then we get to the fourth quarter. Fourth quarter and OT were loaded, so we're in for a ride here. So this is where Rodgers hits Devontae Adams for that 59-yard pass. But again, the Bengals put up another, stout defensive stand, force a field goal, and the Packers are up 22-14. Then the Bengals decide that they want to actually play some offense in this game. They convert a 4th and 2, and they get a touchdown run by Joe Mixon, and T. Higgins catches a 2-point 2-point conversion attempt, and that ties it up at 22. All right, so at this point, you're thinking, all right, with 3:15 left, Aaron Rodgers gets the ball back. The Packers are going to drive down with the way their offense is moving the ball. They're going to drive down. They're going to at least get in field goal range. Crosby's probably going to kick a field goal. And Aaron Jones busts out a massive 57-yard run. And what do you know? Mason Crosby misses a 36-yard field goal with 2 minutes and 12 seconds left. I don't think this was the doink. This was This was just a wide left or right. I don't remember which one it was. Then the Packers stop the Bengals. The Bengals are forced to kick, but that one bounces off the right upright with 21 seconds left in the fourth quarter. So now we've had a missed extra point by Crosby in the second quarter. We've had a missed field goal by Crosby in the fourth quarter. Then a missed field goal by McPherson in the fourth quarter.
57-yarder.
Which was a 57-yarder, so it was more excusable than a 36-yarder. And then the Packers get the ball back. Rodgers completes a bullet to Adams. They get within field goal range. And guess what? Crosby misses another field goal, this time a 51-yarder. So we've had 3 missed field goals in one quarter. But wait, the missed field goals are not over. So nobody could score. Nobody wanted to win this game. So it went to overtime. And the Bengals start with the ball. And on the first play, this might have been, unless something happened that I just didn't see, this might have been the most boneheaded interception I've seen all year.
Yeah, the Joe Burrow one?
Yeah.
It's up there. That was up there.
I don't even know who he was trying to throw to. Even the commentator was like, so who is he throwing to? There was no receiver in the area at all. So Devondre Campbell picks it off, and the Bengals actually stuff the Packers and force them to kick a 41-yarder, and Crosby misses again, right? So Crosby's had 3 opportunities to win this game, and he's blown 3 opportunities to win this game. Then this is the Jamar Chase crazy sideline catch that was on the Bengals' next drive. He caught it. I think his left foot was in bounds, and then he dragged his right foot.
Yep. Oh yeah,
his right toe, right. And with 4 minutes and 14 seconds left in overtime, McPherson, I don't remember his first name, McPherson kicks a 49-yard field goal, misses, but then they start celebrating. Him and a bunch of guys are celebrating as if they made it, and then they showed him look back at the thing and is like, what? I missed? What?
It hit the flag. He hit the flag.
It hit the flag, but on the outside. So he thought he made it, but he didn't. And so he started celebrating prematurely, and it looked really stupid. So then the Packers get the ball back. And this was kind of a crazy sequence of events. So the Bengals they sack Rodgers all the way back at the Bengals 48 with 2:33 to go. Sets up a 3rd and 16. And then Rodgers just perfect throw to Randall Cobb, gets just enough yardage for the first down, sets up a 49-yard field goal for Crosby with 2 minutes left. And on the fourth try to win the game, to put the game away, on the 4th try, he makes it. And the Packers win 25-22 because after the first possession, if you don't score, the first score of any kind wins. So Packers walk away with a road victory that, I mean, are you going to trust Crosby to kick a field goal next week? I don't know. If you're a Packers fan, tell me, let me know. How much do you trust Crosby right now? That was a deeper funk than I think I've ever seen. I don't know. Have you ever seen a field goal kicker miss 3 field goals in a game before?
So if they were, had to have been longer ones, right? Not game winners. Yeah, that was. And the one he made at the end, wasn't that 46-yarder?
49.
49. Okay. I mean, yeah, Crosby's one of the greatest kickers of all time. He's been a clutch, solid kicker. So yeah, dude, that was nuts. How about that throw to Devontae Adams?
Yeah, that was nuts.
Dude, he didn't even take a step into it. He twisted. If you watch it, he twisted his back in a weird way. He slung it, but in a unique way. I felt like I watched it a couple times, and the ball almost went 60 yards in the air. I mean, he didn't run into it. He didn't. I don't even think he took a step. Maybe partially, but I mean, how was Rodgers able to do that still? That's crazy.
Shame on us for saying, I think it was a couple of years ago that maybe Rodgers was starting to lose some of his arm strength because he's got it back. That guy's been hitting the gym. Trust me.
Dude, yeah, he still has. I gotta think he still has a top 5 arm in the league.
Oh, easily, yeah.
So yeah, dude, crazy game. There's definitely been games where individual plays or circumstances, or even consecutive plays, have been crazier. But I don't think there's ever been a crazier finish in terms of the last 10, 15 minutes of a game and winning opportunities. And you have to connect the field goals. In terms of that criteria, I don't think there's ever been a crazier game than ever.
Yeah, I can't remember one.
So, but you know what? It's exciting, and about this week because Jeremy and I only decided to do one game, but the Browns-Chargers game was epic as well. And totally worthy. I watched the highlights on that one, bro, and that one was just as worthy in terms of excitement. I'll give 1 point here. We can move on. The Chargers scored 26 points in the fourth quarter, which if you score 26 points in a game, that's pretty solid, especially if you average that over a season. But they scored 26 in the fourth quarter, and both teams combined in the fourth quarter scored 41 points. And it wasn't like Mayfield and Herbert both played well, and yeah, that game was, guys, go watch that game. If you haven't watched the highlights on that one, go watch it. Browns Chargers was crazy. Yeah. What's next? What do we got next?
All right, so next we've got our Who Wrecked Face this week segment.
Speaking of crazy,
and
this is definitely
I don't think, you know what, Joseph? I don't think we have anybody this week. There really wasn't anybody that performed well. There were no quarterbacks that threw for more than 300 yards. There were no running backs. Just all the receivers decided to take a nap. I mean, there's just nothing this week.
Tell you what, man. Start with defenders. Tell you what, you go first. You go first with defenders, and then I'll go with my segments, and then you finish.
All right, sounds good. So
we have to go because this was insane. And before you go, though, I'll just say this one point. For those listening, this is by far, it's not even close. This is by far the craziest, most prolific list of wreck face that you've had. Now, you might think to yourself, okay, guys, you've only been doing this seasons. There's no way in the first two crazy as well, because we probably would have recognized it and thought of the segment beforehand. Because this was insane. So, Jeremy, go with defenders, and I'll go, and then wrap us up.
All right, so defenders. This is one of the better stat lines that we've had this season. Derwin James, who rookie or second year guy, I don't remember, but either way, safety for the Chargers. A safety with 17 tackles, a sack, and a forced fumble. Okay.
Wow.
Quincy Williams, who I also brought up last week, linebacker for the New York Jets, who played another good game against the Falcons. They barely lost, but another good game. 8 tackles and 2 forced fumbles. And Darius Slay, who's one of the better cornerbacks in the league for Philadelphia, 3 tackles and 2 interceptions.
Wow. Yeah, Even the defenders were solid this week. All right. So I'm going to do running backs first. So we have James Robinson. No, we have Derrick Henry first. Derrick Henry had 130 rushing yards on 4.5 average, but he had 3 rushing touchdowns. That's what sets him apart. And then James Robinson, Jags. The Titans played the Jags, so kind of nice to have a nice running back showdown here. James Robinson had 149 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown, but he had an 8.3 average. That's awesome. And then the Browns. And the Browns can be split up 2 ways here. First way to look at it is Nick Chubb. Right, Nick Chubb had 161 rushing yards on a 7.7 average and a rushing touchdown. But the Browns team as a whole had 230 rushing yards, 3 rushing touchdowns on a 6.6 average. That Browns rushing game is legit. They're probably only second to the Ravens. And then for quarterbacks, oh my goodness. Oh boy. Here, I had an order. There was a kind of a psychology to this before. All right, let's start off with a not so obvious one, but oh no, forget that. Okay, here we go. Justin Herbert. All right, that crazy Browns game. He had 398 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. You might think his completion percentage was pretty poor. He only had a completion percentage of about 60%. Well, let's consider this. 1, throw on the fact he also had 4 carries for 29 yards and a rushing touchdown, right? 7.3 rushing average. So he had 5 touchdowns, no picks, over 400 total yards. Then consider this last point. His yards per completion was 15.3. So I think all of that is enough to say correct face. All right, who's next? Let's go with someone who's quite obvious, Tom Brady. Tom Brady had a great game. His yards per completion wasn't anything spectacular, solid, but it doesn't matter. He played great. The Bucs, I'll tell you what, the Bucs in that fourth quarter, dangerous. The Dolphins were in it. The Dolphins were right at the heels or in it for the first 3 quarters, and then the Bucs just went off in the fourth quarter and put that game away. Tom Brady, 30 of 41. That's a 73% completion percentage. 411 yards, 5 touchdowns, no picks, 144 passer rating. All right, here's where it gets fun. Josh Allen. Josh Allen, 315 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, but also had a rushing touchdown, 59 rushing yards, and had a couple big rushes. So he had 4 touchdowns, no turnovers, no picks. Had just over he had over 360 total yards, 374 looks like 374 total yards. And you ask yourself, well, wait a second, his completion percentage was even worse. His completion percentage was 58%. Well, check this out. They played on the road at Kansas City, and it was raining like crazy. All right, especially later on in the game, it was raining like crazy, and he made some big time plays. His quarterback, his passer rating, 139. His QBR, 91.6. His yards per completion, Jeremy, you ready for this? His yards per completion was 21 yards.
Wow, that's impressive.
I don't care if you're completing 40% of your passes. You have 4 total touchdowns, and you're playing at Kansas City and a good amount in the rain, but all your plays are big time plays. You could fail on first and second down every time, but if that third down throw is a big play, does it really matter? So Josh Allen showed up, and he took on the Chiefs, and he took them down, and this could be their year, dude. They have just been poning teams after that loss to the Steelers, and so Josh Allen definitely showed up. And then it gets even crazier. Colts, Ravens. For anyone who watched that game, that's all I need to say. But there's 2 quarterbacks here. When's the last time 2 quarterbacks have wrecked face in this? So let's start with Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz, 25 of 35. That's a solid 71%. 402 yards. Gives you a 16.1 yards per completion. Had 2 touchdowns, no picks, 128 passer rating. Okay, maybe
factoring in that that's Carson Wentz, that's equivalent to like 700 yards.
So, maybe seeing that extra touchdown would be nice, but that's a very solid game. Come on, guys. 400 yards, that high of a yards per completion, very solid. But then Lamar Jackson, who probably had, no doubt, the game of his career and just an absurd performance. Let's start off with total yards. He was decent on the ground as well. He had 504. Yes, 504 total yards. He had 4 passing touchdowns. Passer rating was 140. His yards per completion is, doesn't matter. 11.9 cares. That's okay. He had 442 passing yards, but listen to this. He was 37 of 43. That's 86%. 86%. And they pulled up a stat towards the end. I just caught the end of the game, overtime. And the stat said that in the second half alone, because they had that epic comeback in the second half. In the second half alone, Lamar Jackson was 28 of 31. That's 90%. For like 330 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no picks. I mean, his second half alone warranted a wreck face. So this was just nuts. Great quarterback play, and just wait till you hear now, who were the benefits of this great quarterback play next.
So, okay. So before I go on to that, the beneficiaries. So I'm looking at the team stats for this game.
Oh yeah, dude.
Okay. Baltimore's total yards was 523, which means that Lamar Jackson was responsible for all but 19 yards. I guess they do the whole thing where they net subtract the sack yards. So it's 437 plus 62, which is 499 minus, so 24, all but 24 yards.
Yeah, 95%. 95.4% if you include the sack yards. Yep.
Yeah.
And the total, the total yards in this game net was like what, 1,030 something. It was insane. 1,050. Yeah.
And at Tech on that both teams were less than 50% on third down. So yeah, it's unbelievable. That the stats in this game defy physics. So there are a load of receivers this week. This is the most stacked receiver week we've had in maybe ever.
Oh, definitely.
Since we started doing this segment. So I'll go first to Davante Adams. Well, you wanted to do recipients of these numbers, so I think I had one. No, I guess it would be 2, right? 2.
Actually, that's a good point. Only 2 ended up being recipients.
Yeah, there were only 2 on our list that were actually from that game, from the Colts-Ravens game. There's Mark Andrews, who had a phenomenal game. He's one of their tight ends, Baltimore's tight ends. 11 receptions, 147 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And then Marquise Brown, 9 receptions, 125 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And I'll just say it, he's not on the list, but Jonathan Taylor had 3 receptions for 116 yards and a touchdown, and also 15 carries for 53 yards and a touchdown. So he had a pretty dominant night too. But so other players, Davante Adams, it takes the cake for the week. He had 11 receptions for 206 yards and a touchdown in that wonky game against the Bengals. Kadarius Toney for the Giants, 10 receptions, 189 yards. Jamar Chase, 6 receptions for 159 yards and a touchdown.
Just imagine if that one ball that was tipped did not get touched. That'd be 2 touchdowns and over 200 yards.
Oh, yeah, well over 200 yards, yeah. Robert Woods for the Rams, 12 receptions, 150 yards. No touchdowns, but still a good stat sheet. Antonio Brown, 7 receptions, 124 yards, 2 touchdowns. And Mike Evans, 6 receptions, 113 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Both Brown and Evans were, I'm sorry, Joseph, they were against your Dolphins. You just can't escape Tom Brady, can you? So we did not have a got wrecked this week. There was not a performance.
Also, Mike Williams of the Chargers.
Oh, sorry, I missed that. Yeah, sorry, I missed that between Kadarius Toney and Jamar Chase. Mike Williams, 8 receptions for 165 yards and 2 touchdowns in that crazy Chargers-Browns game. So we did not have a wrecked face that got wrecked this week because there just weren't anybody that we felt like was that bad. So we'll move on to our third segment of the night, which is our commentators say the darndest things. I've got one quote, and if you've been listening to this show, you'll understand why I got this quote. If you haven't watched this show, then you need to watch so that you'll understand. This is from the Rams-Seahawks game. Not long after Russell Wilson popped a joint in his middle finger or whatever. I don't know exactly what he did, but the commentator said, Russell Wilson, he's one of the toughest guys in the NFL, period. And well, really? Just really? You'll never watch a game where Russell Wilson is playing where you won't hear a commentator say something like that about him. Okay, so do you want to say, actually, Joseph, do you want to save tricky picks for last, just before the predictions?
Yes, because of the next segment?
Yeah. So yes. We're gonna do an injury report this week because we had just a lot of injuries this week, and I'm actually gonna shuffle these because we're doing this segment first. So injury report. Speaking of Russell Wilson, so Russell Wilson did something to his finger. I saw it. I think he like got it smashed on Aaron Donald's helmet or something, and the report coming out of, so actually, you know what? I realized this article I found was only live updates on Sunday, so it didn't have the full list of players, but I'll get as much as I can out of this. So Russell Wilson hurt his finger. It's going to need surgery. They said 6 to 8 weeks, but I think it's going to be more like 4. I really do. You never know with quarterback fingers exactly what's going to happen. I think it is his throwing finger. There's on his throwing hand. So that'll probably make it take longer. And that means Geno Smith takes over, which means that the Seahawks are going to lose some games. So I've always said the last 2 or 3 years that if you take Russell Wilson out of that team, they're not a good team. So let's see what they can do. Let Seahawks prove me right these next few weeks. Then we've got Saquon Barkley had a high ankle sprain, so that's usually like a 4 to 6 week recovery. Doesn't usually require surgery though. Clyde Edwards-Hilaire for the Chiefs had a knee injury, although he was I guess it says he was carried off the field by teammates but seen walking on his own power into the x-ray room. So I don't know the extent of that knee injury. Do you know, was that an ACL or?
No, I don't know.
Okay. So we'll see. We don't really know about him. They may know more since this article was written. Then Joe Burrow had a throat contusion. I don't know how long that's gonna take to heal.
Oh, so I think it came back. I thought I saw that he's okay. He's good to go.
Okay. So maybe it was just fluid buildup or something. So that's good. Thank goodness. Yeah. So Daniel Jones got a concussion, quarterback for the Giants. Let's see, what other big ones we had?
Juju Schuster.
Oh yeah, Juju Smith-Schuster had a shoulder injury against the Broncos.
What else did I text you?
Oh yeah, you must have. Trying to remember those. I'll pull up your texts.
Burrow.
Yeah, you said Edwards, Hilaire, and Burrow.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all I said.
Daniel Jones, Juju Smith-Schuster. Oh, Taysom Hill.
Oh yeah, he had a concussion. Dude,
was it a concussion?
Yeah, concussion protocol.
Okay. So sometimes guys can come back the next week after that. It kind of just depends on what, whether it was really a concussion or not and how long it takes to recover. And then, so Trey Lance did sprain his knee, but they don't think he's going to be out for more than 1 or 2 weeks, and their bye is coming up this week, so it's possible he may not miss any time. Although Jimmy also has a calf injury, so we may end up playing our third stringer if he's not healthy. Which, don't even talk to me about that. I think that's it for the big ones.
Yeah.
So, did we want to do the pass rushing chart tonight?
I'm kind of iffy on.
We can skip that. That's fine. There was just to give the listeners some background on that. So there was a chart that came out after, I think it was after last week's game. So not this previous weekend, but the weekend before that, that showed pass. It was a chart. Imagine an XY graph with one axis was pass rush win rate, and the other axis was double team percentage or ratio or something. I don't remember if it was in terms of a percentage, but it was basically pass rush win rate versus double team. And it showed that Nick Bosa was sort of standing out on an island in terms of both together. So he gets double teamed a lot, but also wins a lot. But he didn't win the most or have the most double teams. He was sort of in this kind of weirdly optimal location. And then there were some players that had really high win rates and not that many double teams. And then other players that had really high double teams and not very high win rates. So it led to an interesting discussion about what that means and how do you evaluate that? How do you evaluate a player based on that? How you evaluate the rest of the defensive line on that? So we may cover. I think maybe that would be a fun thing to do once there's a little bit more data this season, like in 3 or 4 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Once these maybe players have actually gotten off the ground.
Yeah, and to look up other stats because I mentioned there's a couple other stats that we might need in conjunction with that for a better evaluation. So if we can find those, then that would help.
Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, so our 5th segment of the night is Tricky Picks. So last week, Joseph and I were both 4-6 on our picks. So I am 9-12 on the season, and Joseph is 8-13. We got to step it up, man.
Yeah.
So lay it on me. What are the picks for this week?
All right, I have 6, 7. Dolphins, Jags. All right, there's 3 options here. Difficult. 3 options. What's going to occur? More field goals attempted versus more total touchdowns and total turnovers, or a tie? They're in London, Dolphins, Jags.
So it's field goal attempts touchdowns plus turnovers and the same number.
Yes.
I'm going to say there's going to be more touchdowns plus turnovers.
Okay, same. All right. Chiefs Redskins. This is pretty much this. There's 3 questions here, but it's really one question. Basically, will Patrick Mahomes bounce back? um, First, because they're playing at the Redskins, and that tenacious defensive line. All right. Will Mahomes be sacked more than his passing touchdown?
Oh, that's a good one. I'm gonna say no.
I said yes. And if I didn't answer, I also said total touchdowns for the Dolphins game.
You did. So you agreed with me on the first one and disagreed on the second one, I believe.
Yeah. Will Mahomes' sack yards be greater than 20?
No.
Yes. Will Mahomes have at least 2 of the following? But will he have at least 2 of the following? 350 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, 75% or more completion percentage, 2 rushing touchdowns, 0 turnover.
You said at least 2 of the following?
Yeah, so there was 5 there. We have at least 2 of those 5.
Can you read off the first 3 again?
Yes, 350 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, 75% completion.
I'll say yes.
All right, I went no. So we were diametrically opposed. I do think he can come back and have a good game. I just decided to go for the nose on this one. So basically, Jeremy's saying he's going for it. I'm saying the
I think that defines this show. 2 guys diametrically opposed. Talk about football.
I'm have to sure to use that phrase more often in good context. All right, last one. Bills Titans. You're not gonna like this because when I first made it, I was like, no, that gives such an obvious answer, so I have to do something, and you're not gonna like it, but I don't care. So, how many rushing touchdowns will Derrick Henry and Josh Allen have together? So it's an over/under, and the over/under is 3. Originally 3.5, but no, I think gotta make this more difficult here. I think making the over/under 3 is really sets it apart. So
it's total rushing touchdowns between the 2?
Yes. So over/under 3.
I'm gonna go under.
All right, I went over. And we're gonna finally have some differences here, or a lot of differences. Last one. Will Allen and Henry combine for, and this ands both have to happen. Will Allen and Henry combine for at least 30 rush attempts and 165 yards? For context, Allen averages about 7 attempts a game. He had 11 last week. Henry averages, I think, 28 a game. So
I'm gonna say yes on that.
Okay, yeah. There we go for tricky picks.
All right, those are some good ones this week. So before we do our segment 6, which is our predictions, I did look up. We were talking about the Cleveland Browns rushing, so I looked up the last 2 seasons. Last season, in the regular season, they were 3rd in overall rushing, behind the Ravens and the Titans. And surprisingly, the Patriots were number 4.
Huh.
I didn't know where that came from. But the Browns were third last year, and so far this year, they are first,
All
ahead
right.
of the Cowboys, Titans, and then Ravens.
All right.
So they're
Speaking of
starting off hot.
speaking of Cowboys, and their offense is clicking.
Yeah, it is. No kidding. Okay, so games this last week. I'm eager to talk about this because I dominated. So, uh, week 5, I was 13-3, which brings my record up to 50-30, which is 62.5%. So I've finally broken that 60% mark for the seasons. Joseph was 11-5 because we differed on two picks. Two picks that he was diametrically opposed to me about. And Packers at Bengals and Rams at Seahawks. He picked Seahawks and Bengals. So he's 11-5 and is now at 51-29, 63.8%. So he's one measly little game ahead of me.
I have a feeling that we're either going to have like all the same picks or like 4 differences.
Yeah, there were some rough picks this week. There's only 14 games though.
That's true.
So,
That's true.
Okay. So, first game of week 6. The hardest game to pick of the week. Bucks at Eagles. I'm going Eagles. No, I'm going Bucks.
I am going Bucks, but it could be a trap game. I think this could be a trap game for the Bucks. We'll see.
Okay.
What's your comment?
I was just going to say, you don't get points for trap games.
Dolphins, Jags in London. Dolphins are going to win. I mean, come on. They held in there in Tampa for the first 3 quarters. The offensive line is still the issue, man. Like Brissett, dude, if Brissett was just an average quarterback, a good offensive line, actually he could be the guy. Be enough but he's just, and he has his resilience to survive in the pocket and escape being sacked and get rid of the ball has been ridiculous. So the offensive line is the problem. Defense isn't as good as we thought, but it's not terrible. But I think the Dolphins can still win.
Okay. Apologies if you hear my printer in the background. It suddenly has a life of its own. Third game is Packers at...
Who are you going? Who are you picking?
Oh, I'm picking Dolphins. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I'm picking Dolphins. Yeah, I can't... If you guys lose to the Jags, we're going to
We're
have
done.
a longer discussion next week. I'll
No,
just say
that's
that.
true.
And Joseph probably won't wake up the next morning either. So let's hope that the Dolphins win. So Packers at Bears. This is one of those like squirrely division games that I'm not comfortable with, but I'm going Packers.
Babe. Bengals, Lions, Bengals.
Yep. I don't think you and I are ever going to pick Lions unless it's maybe like Jags at Lions. Yeah, same. I'm going Bengals. Texans at Colts. This was actually kind of a tough one, but I feel like the Colts are just a bit better, so I'm going Colts, and they're at home.
Yeah, same. Rams, Giants, going Rams.
Same. Chiefs at football team. I'm going Chiefs.
So, it's a tough one for me. Picked Chiefs originally. I'm going to stick with it, though. I guess I made the tricky picks afterwards, and I realized in my tricky picks I kind of, So, I'll go Chiefs, though. I think they'll still win. Maybe they don't let Mahomes play very well, but they'll still find a way to win. So.
Okay, your tricky picks sort of assumed that Mahomes was going to get pancaked in this game, so...
Yeah, no, so we'll see about that. Okay, next one's really tough.
Yeah, this is rough.
Vikings, Panthers. To be honest, this is a weird one. Might have just been like 6 or something. I circled both teams, like in one giant circle. I just circled both teams. I don't even know. So I'm making my pick on the spot. So I think McCaffrey's still out.
I think so too.
Say Vikings. Ugh.
Yeah, I'm saying Vikings too, mainly because of McCaffrey.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. This can't get any closer to 50-50.
Yeah, this one's close. All right, so far we haven't disagreed on any. We're 8 games through and we haven't disagreed yet.
All right.
So the next game is Chargers at Ravens. Um, Look, the Chargers are good this year, and I don't know. The Ravens are coming off of a hot performance. They're not going to be that hot. They're just not. I mean, Jackson's not going to have another game like that. So I think this is going to be a close shootout, but I'm giving it to the Ravens really just because of home field.
All right. I'm going Chargers.
Okay.
This was a tough one. This was one that I put down as a tough game, and it really is. Um, yeah, but Herbert and the Chargers have been consistent, and I think it'll be a shootout. So this is our first agreement, and this is a good one to disagree on.
All right.
Oh, my next.
Yeah, you're next.
Cardinals Browns, another tough one. Because Browns been playing well, and they got a good defensive line. Gonna be chasing after Murray. Murray didn't play great against the Niners, but I'm gonna go Cardinals again until I think Murray can bounce back, and he can find a way to evade that defensive line. I'm sure the Browns will play well. This will be another high-scoring game shootout, but I'm gonna give the edge to the Cardinals until I see otherwise.
I heard you say that last week. I can't wait till it burns you. Kyler Murray had a.
Who'd you pick? Who'd you pick?
Well, just before I say, Kyler Murray last week dominated the Niners on the ground with 7 carries for 1 yard. So just be ready. I'm going Browns. This was a really hard one. This was like Chargers Ravens, kind of hard for me because both teams are playing pretty well, and I just think. I just think the Browns are going to have enough weapons to just outmatch. The Cardinals' run defense is not very good, so I think the Browns are going to have another good, probably 200 plus rushing yard game. So I'm going to give it to them. So you went Cardinals. Your cardinal rule is to go Cardinals until they lose. Okay, am I next or you're? I think.
You're next.
Okay. Raiders at Broncos, who, by the way, John Gruden resigned today.
Resigned.
Yeah, resigned. Was softly kicked out the door. So I think they're going to be in disarray. I think the Broncos they have the defense and the home field, so I'm going Broncos.
I had originally picked one. This was a tough game, right? Because Raiders didn't play very well last week. Broncos weren't as good as we thought they could be, but thought the Raiders could bounce back with some good offense.
Don't lump me in with that. I've always thought the Broncos were terrible.
No, I wasn't lumping you with it.
You said the Broncos aren't as good as we thought they were, or we thought they could be.
Oh, I was using that more generally.
Okay, you and Booger McFarland.
Not like I thought the Broncos were good either. I mean, you asked me the "Do you believe it?" show.
You've thought that the Broncos were good since Peyton Manning came into town.
Please. He's been out of town for a while. He's already in the Hall of Fame now.
No, but even then, you had this like lingering Peyton Manning syndrome for like 7 years.
I had this what? I ripped my microphone out.
You had the lingering Peyton Manning syndrome for like 6 years.
Oh, please. Yeah, Teddy Bridgewater's my man.
When you see Teddy Bridgewater on the field, you see a ghost of Peyton Manning in his beer belly.
What you said made me want to change my pick to the Broncos. I'm going to stay Raiders just for the sake of having an extra difference. Thinking, you know what, maybe the Raiders just come out and just, I don't know, for whatever those who can about the quote-unquote resignation can read about it. But, whatever gets fueled, whatever way, Raiders can come out and play much better. So I'm going to go with Raiders, but it's a close game.
The Raiders' key to winning is getting, oh gosh, what's his name? Chris
Berman
to come out, and instead of like one of the linebackers doing the whole rah-rah thing in the huddle, he just comes out and says, "The Raiders," and they get out there and win. Okay, so I think I have totally lost track of who's next, so I'm just gonna go.
I'm next.
Oh, you're okay. You're keeping track. Good for you.
Cowboys, Patriots. Going Cowboys. Patriots at home. Mac Jones, the Patriots are decent, but I think Cowboys will do enough on offense, and it'll be a close-ish game. Maybe the Cowboys are like what, -6, -5. So I'm going Cowboys.
Okay, and I'm actually also going Cowboys. Checking that game. So that game is Cowboys -4.
Yeah, that sounds fair.
Seahawks at Steelers. Steelers are struggling, but they're home and it's against Geno Smith. So I'm going Steelers.
Yeah, same. And lastly, looking forward to this one. Buffalo, Tennessee. I think Buffalo is going to keep on rolling. Yeah. Oh, go ahead and say your pick, and then I got some cheesy.
I got Bills on this one too.
All right. So we differed by 3.
3, yep. Chargers, Ravens, Cardinals, Browns, Raiders, Broncos.
But what I was going to say was I forgot to say it in the back face. Josh Allen, right? He went into Kansas City and he bill rushed him. He didn't bull rush him. He bill rushed him.
Oh gosh. Did you just make that up, or was that?
No, I had last night. Last night I prepared. I was gonna use it in my rec face segments, and I forgot. I just remembered right now looking at the schedule.
A pre-prepared and forgotten pun. That's the best. That is the best. That is the best.
So Josh Allen is gonna go and bill rush the Titans as well.
That's like putting a pair of moldy buns on a charred hamburger patty, man. All right, that's great. Yeah, Bills are going to win this game, I think. I don't think there's any other team, before we close out, I don't think there's any other team that relies more on a single player than the Titans.
Yeah.
Like his WAR, whatever the WAR equivalent is for football, is probably the highest in football outside of quarterbacks.
Yes. And his WAR is probably still, in terms of, I guess, dependence on the result, not necessarily performance, we get touch on that, but in terms of like maybe the overall impact, he might even be higher than many quarterbacks.
Yeah, probably outside of like the top 8 or 9. Yeah.
By the way, before we end, we can end on this. I'm looking at the Lions schedule. We may never have a game where we pick the Lions.
Oh boy.
Here's their best option: home versus the Eagles, home versus the Bears, home Vikings, at Broncos, at Falcons.
Oh boy, yeah. I think that there's maybe they can pluck that home against the Bears. But yeah, that's rough.
That's their best option. So,
weren't they the only 0-6 team in NFL history?
I think so. I think that was like 2008.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So I think they have a legitimate shot at repeating that again. Oof. This time, hey, it's a new record though. They'll be 0-17.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. It's even worse.
And
so
for how bad they're going to be, they might sit out their starters the last 3 or 4 games.
I mean, I don't know why you do that since their team's pretty young and they need the experience, but
that's true. That's never mind.
Yeah, but I don't know, maybe they'll get benched because they're so bad. Who knows? Who knows? All right, so buys this week: Falcons, Saints, Jets, Niners. So there are only 14 games this week, and we decided on our game of the week this week to be Chargers at Ravens. There were a couple good ones, but we landed on Chargers at Ravens. So look forward to talking to you guys about that game next week, assuming it's not a stinker. So that is a wrap for episode 59 of the Practice Squad. If you didn't fall asleep during tonight's episode or any of our past episodes, please like, share, and subscribe here on YouTube, as those are free ways for you to support our show. Don't forget to follow us on the on Twitter at the Practice Squad and at Neuralizer_. Just as a reminder, if you've missed past episodes, you can watch or listen to them right here on my YouTube channel. Tonight's show will be available immediately after we get offline. As always, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week.